Welcome to the Combative Nerds Podcast. Join us. Hey guys, we don't have time for intros or traffic signals. This is a rapid fire episode. Let's get to it. Oh, an IG. My bad. Sorry about your cat. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Raiderlance and
IceEyedGnome.
It is November 21st, 2022. We haven't recorded for a while. How you been, man?
I've been good, man. Just working, doing my thing, trying to get in contact with you to record some episodes. But you've been dying here recently, so it's been difficult.
Yeah, God wasn't kind enough to finally punch my ticket. So the reason I have been holding this podcast up is me and all of my immediate family caught RSV because my son now decided to go to public school and went into that goddamn incubator of awfulness and brought that crap home. And it's been going on for about 3 weeks. I caught a cold. My daughter caught a cold. Started getting better. Got some medications. And then he brought home RSV. And all four of us got it. So I think cumulative, we've been to the doctor 6 times between the four of us. No. Let's make that 8. Been to the urgent care 1 or 2 times. Son went to the ER once. We had a mini pharmacy on our kitchen counter. I'm pretty sure we're going to start getting investigated for some Breaking Bad operation out of my house with how much meds prescriptions we've been buying. It's been awful.
Walter White.
Got the haircut. Not the brains.
Yeah, you go.
But with that being said, I still have a little bit of cough. I have to chew gum. I apologize. There may be a little hacking or wheezing on my part. I'm still technically on a nebulizer, taking albuterol. So yeah, it's been fun. The other part of it is my weight is now unacceptable.
Oh, yeah?
I have crossed that line in the sand, and I blew right by it. Yeah, man, I'm weighing in at 185 at 5'6", and that's not all muscle, man. It is unacceptable. So I am officially going on a diet.
It's a little muscle. It's like a little muscle, and then like a lot of 5-layer burritos.
I wish. There is some muscle, but there is just no. My BMI right now is unacceptable. So it's official. We've decided we're eventually going to go video. I can't go on video looking like this, so I'm going to try to drop. You know, I'm not really worried about dropping weight. I do want to change my BMI. And I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
if you increase muscle mass, you're not going to move on the scale, but you'll look different. You'll
exactly.
Different.
I'm worried about my waist slimming. You know, I don't want to be at 36 now. I want to get back down to 34, maybe even 32. Just fit my clothes again would be nice. I know it, a lot of it's bloating. It's all the steroid that I was taking, all the medications, but still, man, not cool. I almost broke my scale once I saw that. So how you been, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I would also like to lose weight, but I also really love pasta. And,
that'll do it to you.
So it's a battle in my brain. Like, do I want to make like homemade lasagna? Or do I want to like work out for 4 hours? And lasagna and a couple glasses of wine sounds way better than lifting weights.
Yeah, at this age, I'm at the point in my life where I work out, and sometimes it might not be the lack of motivation or discipline the second day. It's my joints telling me, you should have a day off. Why don't you ease into it? Don't just start 5 days a week, 2 hours a day anymore. Maybe, every other day, hour and a half. Let's start walking. Let's start stretching. Yeah, getting old sucks. Donkey balls.
Yeah. The older you get, the less that delayed onset muscle soreness takes to delay. It's just instant, and then you feel like shit for 4 days. And yeah, I feel it, man.
After 40s was the first time I went, let me look into this calisthenics. Maybe I've been a little close-minded. So sad.
Maybe those ice baths are a good idea.
Oh, geez. Yeah. The saunas, the Russian spas where they hit you with branches. I'm open to all of it if it's going to make me hurt less.
Yeah.
So I wanted to tell you the reason why I was late recording today. Everybody, I'm always late. I'm on Mexican time. It is what it is. But today I made a promise.
Mexican time. We've already had this conversation. If it were Mexican time, this whole podcast would have been recorded. We'd be on our like 5th cerveza right now. We'd be hanging out, like just chilling.
No, man. I'm telling you, the Mexicans that I know, we're all late. Anyways, maybe not for work. All right, I'll give you that one. But everything else. So I made a promise today that I would be on time. And of course, on time comes around. I have to text him, hey man, I'm going to be late. And I already know he's irritated, right? And so I try to give him a legitimate excuse. And he's not going to accept it because I'm always late. But I'm like, yeah, I'm on a phone call with an attorney. I have to take this call. Yeah, I'll be a little late. So I'm a little late. And I told him I would give him the actual reason why I was late and how I was actually being a grown, responsible adult for once and not just, not being on time because I'm me. So here's what happened. And I'm going to keep it very general because one, I'm talking about maybe not a client, but somebody who confided in me and has the attorney-client privilege. And so I will be very general. But here is the dilemma with being an attorney, and here's why everybody should have an attorney as a friend or at least a phone call away. Because this isn't the first time I've gotten this type of call. I get a phone call today, a friend of a friend of a friend, but we know them well enough. And so the person says, hey, the FBI just knocked on my door.
You'll have that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then they said, yeah, the FBI just immediately started, where's your spouse? Where are they at? We don't believe you. We need some proof. I was immediately, my stomach just sank for this person because they're not even trying to play nice. And so the person who called me said, yeah, my spouse is actually out of the country, so they weren't there. And I was like, oh, good. And I said, okay, well, when did this happen? It happened today? And they're like, well, actually, it happened like a week ago. And I'm like, oh, God, what are you doing to me? And of course, they haven't spoken to the FBI yet, but they're like, so what do you think? The person is planning on just going and talking to the FBI. I was like, oh, God, no. You don't do that. Well, okay, so here is a phenomenon, and it's whether it's criminal, whether it's civil. When people think they've been wronged, that means they think they're in the right. Does that make sense?
Right.
And anytime you believe you're in the right, you think that you can explain your side because you're the one being reasonable. And I'm talking about the majority of people, not the crazies or the people who just can't understand. I'm talking about the vast majority of people think that they're just going to be able to explain their position or their side of the story. And the other person is going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. No, I understand you didn't know what you were doing or this and that. That is how relationships work sometimes if you're really good at communicating. But the way the law works, you have these rules that are set in place that determine what is right and wrong. And your perception or your understanding or your belief of what is or is not, whether you are ignorant or knowledgeable, does not matter. It's what the laws on the book matter. And so a lot of people with great intentions and maybe good people, they just think that they're going to talk to that investigator, that inspector, that FBI
Just gonna
agent.
clear everything up.
Yeah, we're just gonna no. Here's what I thought what was happening. Here's my understanding.
Friendly conversation.
I wasn't involved. Oh, that other person who actually did get arrested, they were involved and they did bad stuff, but I wasn't involved. Okay, who hired you? Well, that person, but I wasn't involved. And so I had to very kindly tell the person, you lawyer the fuck up and you do not answer any questions without an attorney present. Well, but if we just made it understand, look, okay, I need you. You called me because I'm an attorney, right? Yes. So do you want my friend advice or do you want my attorney advice? Well, we want your attorney advice. Okay. You shut your mouth, you lawyer up, and you don't answer any questions. Look, you're a good person and you're going to tell them your side of the story. And I pray that you didn't do anything wrong. Here is the issue. And I'll give you a story from my own personal life. So one day I'm walking with a group of friends. I'm sorry, they're basically family. We're walking down the street and some drunk person comes and makes some lewd comments to us and threatens us. And we were coming from a restaurant and we just happened to cross paths and I took exception to it. And so I turned around and I said something and started walking over toward them. My members in the group did not want to be involved and were like, just walk away. And I'm like, you guys walk away. I'm good. And so I'm generally speaking. And so an altercation ended up happening and the cops showed up. Those other guys ran off. And so in my head, I'm like, we're the victim. I had to stand up. They made a threat. They made some lewd comments. And so The police get there and they start asking us about what happened. And I told them everything that factually happened. Hey, they made this comment. I had to turn around. They were being very threatening. One of our members in the group, she was a little intoxicated and she got a little lippy with them. And then they took the first punch and yada, 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 yada. Well, then the cops totally blew me off, didn't do any form of investigation. So I called their lieutenant and he's like, well, yeah, you're in a bar fight. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, they were intoxicated. They came from the bar. You were intoxicated and you said something back. I said, no, we had a female. We came from a restaurant and she just told him a couple things. And he was like, oh, yeah, we thought it was just mutual parties getting into a bar fight. The point of that story is I treated the police officer as if they were my friend, as if they were going to side with me. And I said words that were not carefully crafted to maximize my position, my storytelling, to put me in the best light. And I just handed them over freely to this police officer that did not have my best interests at heart. He cared that we were safe. He cared that the problem was over. But he just threw me into a peg or pigeonholed and didn't actually care about my story or what happened. He was just like, you ran your mouth. Don't run your mouth to those type of criminals and you'll be fine. And so if you apply that to the legal system, you may have felt you did nothing wrong. You may have not intended to do anything wrong, but you're going to give all these facts over and be completely open and honest to an investigator, and they're going to do with them what they will. That is not a good position to be in. I would rather be sitting next to an attorney telling me, don't answer that. Okay, when you answer that, answer this portion of it. Do not answer that portion of it. Do not volunteer more information than they ask. Because the more you say, the more widgets they have to move around to fit what they're looking for, right? That investigator, rightfully so, has an agenda. They're trying to problem solve. They are trying to find people who are also culpable in any crimes. I do not fault them for them. I support them. I support clients going and speaking the truth to these investigators when answering questions. My fear is you go in there, you don't know the law, you don't realize how what you say can be interpreted in multiple ways, and now all of a sudden, you've just given up your right to remain silent. Most people think that when they hire an attorney, it's going to make them look guilty. Well, I understand there is that stigma. One, you're not supposed to be able to bring that up in trial. You can actually get a mistrial for that. And two, I would rather deal with the stigma of hiring an attorney and maybe looking more guilty to an investigator than say the wrong thing, divulge the wrong thing out of ignorance. So, yeah, have an attorney friend if you can. And those are the uncomfortable phone calls that you can randomly get in the middle of your day. So, yeah, good times.
Yeah, well, if the FBI ever knocks on my door, which they don't,
it better not be over this podcast.
It definitely will. If we continue to do this podcast, then I'm going to be giving you a call. So be prepared.
I'm pretty sure we'll get woke protesters before that. Or I'm sorry, I will. And then I'll call them racist for protesting a brown person.
Please direct all hate mail to Raiderlance.
Direct any mail, man. We need some comments. We need some support here. Tell us if you even care what we're talking about and if you like our stories. You have any questions?
Say nice things about me, though. Call me pretty, something.
So you have any questions for me about this situation?
I mean, I have a ton of questions, but since it's like attorney-client privilege,
no, go ahead.
Dive too deep into that, but
go for it.
I like what is a scenario similar to one that took place that would warrant the FBI knocking on a person's door? I know it doesn't have to be the exact. I'm trying to figure out what kind of thing could happen.
So most people hear about FBI with espionage or kidnappings or something like that. Okay. This was a white collar crime. So now you're looking at SEC, Ponzi schemes, embezzlement, fraud, right? All the, they're not victimless, but there is a term for it. Again, I am not a criminal specialist. This is the other problem. Attorneys specialize in their fields of expertise, right? So you have civil litigation, you have criminal, and then they break it down. Some people are in estate planning, some people are in real estate, some people are in contracts, some people are in immigration law. There's a lot of different stratas. I just know general concepts. of criminal law. I've never done criminal law because I just do not have the temperament for that stuff. And
Gotcha.
then when you do criminal law, I have more personal experience because of the people who've called or my friends. They're all like criminal stuff, DUIs, drugs, shootings, gangs. Like I know people who do all that stuff. I know prosecutors and I know defense attorneys. I've never really dealt with white collar crime before.
I thought you meant like you knew people who did all the shootings, and it's like, oh, okay.
I can either confirm or deny that, and we're going to move on to the next part of the episode.
Really quiet.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, let's move on from there. So white collar crime. I have never had a client or a friend call me and ask me about, hey, what happens when the FBI knocks on my door? Let's just say if the FBI knocks on your door, they know a lot more than you. They're not just coming because they just happen to hear your name from somewhere, right? They know what they're investigating.
Right.
So yeah, it's not a good position to be in. Don't do crime. Just follow the goddamn laws, people. Yeah. So the other, I don't want to say piece of advice, but the other thing that I would recommend to people is you don't want to go to a DUI criminal defense attorney if you're dealing with white collar crimes. And if you're dealing with white collar crimes, like embezzlement or something, fraud, but some type of major violation like that, counterfeiting, I don't know. You're not going to want to go to a criminal defense attorney that does trial for murders, assaults, and stuff like that. It's a different avenue. It's like going to a dentist or a podiatrist, if that makes sense, right? One's a mouth doctor, one's a foot doctor. Yeah, they're both doctors. They're both going to have a general understanding of the law, but there's some intricacies there that you are going to need. So that would be my other thing is not all attorneys are created equal. And not all attorneys specialize in the same fields. So you got to be very careful. Unfortunately, I have some contacts where I was able to get referrals for people who do that. Now, side point, attorneys can practice in multiple areas. So you could have a situation where they practice all things criminal, right? I like to get specialists. Specialists are going to be more expensive. FBI comes knocking on my door. You're going to want to pay for a specialist. I'm thinking. I've never been there. I hope to never be there. But yeah, man.
They're going to find out that you downloaded that entire Backstreet Boys album off LimeWire.
Oh my God. I actually did use LimeWire. That was after Napster, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was like right after the fall of Napster. There was like WinMX and LimeWire. Everybody was on it. Not me, though. F.B.I, if you're listening. Not me.
Yeah, I think LimeWire, I got scared because I heard of all the stuff going down and all that. So, yeah, the good old days. But yeah, man, any other general questions?
Yeah, but I don't think we can talk about them on here. So we're going to have to like move that to like an off the air conversation.
Okay.
You know, just in case like Hillary Clinton's listening or something.
Well, we are going to wrap up this rapid fire. We're keeping it short. We're going to do a number of rapid fires today. So thanks for joining us. Let us know if you like the topic or if you have other small legal questions. I don't know. Maybe I could fill some for some people. All right. Catch you guys later. Bye. That's it. That's our show. Join IAG and myself for our next rapid fire where we'll be discussing why IAG finally quit Marvel Strike Force. Good riddance. Please do us a favor. Like, subscribe, share this podcast so we can get some traction. Once I get around to it, check us out on our socials. Combative Nerds on Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You know the deal. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next episode.